about it. Can you say that in your 60s you have healed your inner child? I sure can. I can't say it. And so it made me start thinking about when I first heard the term inner child. And it was back in the early 90s when I read Love is a Choice, and that broke me open so much to some other possibilities for the reasons that I was struggling with, the things I was struggling with, and behaving the way I was behaving. It broke me open, and a light came down from heaven and the angel said, La. But they said it in harmony, right? And so upon reading that book, I started going to the library, and I would check out books about self-help and psychology and self-improvement, those kind of personal growth type of books. I would check out 8 to 10 at a time. I became is it voracious? Yeah, voracious, whatever that word is, reader, where I was just like, oh my God, it was like, oh my God, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. And so that was what happened with Love is a Choice. And I started seeing words like codependency, dysfunction, inner child, healing your inner child. And so I embarked upon this journey of trying to heal my inner child. But for all the therapy and the reading and the personal growth and all those things, I cannot say that I have healed my inner child. And so I wrote down some thoughts. I have my cell phone here. Some thoughts that came to me. And so I'm just going to share them with you, okay? Despite the effort I put into healing my inner child, I didn't heal my inner child. What I have learned, and it just, I think, was an aha moment in my 60s. Not too long ago, I say a couple of days ago, when I was really pondering this, was when I just had this feeling of enlightenment and self-knowing that as I look back at my journey, while I didn't heal my inner child, I think what I did do was I started paying attention to her, because that's what she really wanted from me. I thought that she wanted me to go out and find people who would treat her better, who would listen to her, who would hear her, who would cater to her, who would do the things for her that my mom and dad, despite them doing the best they could, were not able to provide for her. And so I was deputized to go out and find it. Find a friend who won't betray you. Find a man who will love you. Find somebody who will treat you well. The things that I did not get, the parenting I did not receive, my inner child, I thought, wanted me to go out and find people who could provide that for her. And if I could do that, then maybe they could help me to heal her. That's not how it worked out for me. The way that it's working out for me, however, is in me paying attention. Instead of treating my inner child as if something's wrong with her, instead of treating her like I need to solve her, fix her, heal her, what I've started doing is listening to her, trying to lean in closer to hear what she's trying to communicate. I'm trying to become a safe place for her, a place of understanding where I know how she got to where she is. I know why certain things trigger her. I know the reasons why, because I grew up with her. I walked through it with her. So I know the why. And now it's about knowing the how. How should I approach my inner child? What if she never heals? Right? Because it's been all these years. I'm 64, about to be 65, and I have not been successful in healing my inner child. So what is it that I have learned to do that has resulted in me feeling more whole, feeling more well, feeling happier, feeling lighter, unburdened, feeling seen, feeling heard, is that I had to provide her what I was running and seeking for her externally. She just wanted me to see her. She just wanted me to think she was important. She just wanted me to give a darn. She wanted my attention. She wanted me to be to her and for her what other people could not be. And so when I understood that, then I started leaning in. I started leaning in without judging her, without censoring her. I tell you, one big come to Jesus moment for me was when I was at my chiropractor who specialized in body wisdom. And she was manipulating, doing the adjustments on my back. And she said, "What is it that your 5-year-old wants you to know? I feel like she wants to tell you something. And I want you to ask her what it is that she wants you to know, what she needs from you." That was it. What she needs from you. I want you to ask her what she needs from you. And I asked her in my spirit. I leaned in intently. And I asked her what she wanted from me. And she said, "Stop explaining me. I want you to stop explaining me. Because when you do, it makes me feel bad." That's exactly what she said. And I started thinking about how my whole lifestyle, my communication, even in me trying to figure me out and being in the self-help library, I was trying to fix her. I felt like if I could find out what was wrong, then I could fix her, or I could take her somewhere for her to be fixed. And so I found myself in places with people explaining her, explaining that part of myself as if there was something wrong with her. And that was what she was telling me. Stop explaining me. Now, it wasn't like I go to people and say, "Oh, well, the reason that I act this way is because my inner child is this. And when she was younger, this happened to her. And she has abandonment issues. And she has rejection issues. And she has trust issues. And she's kind of needy." It wasn't so much that I said it with my mouth. It was that was the way I lived my life. Like she needed to be explained. Because after all, I'm working on her. I'm trying to get her to behave herself. I'm trying to do the work. I'm trying. In my romantic relationships, I'm trying. In my friendships, I'm trying. I'm trying to be acceptable. And when I'm not, I'm trying to explain to you why I am the way that I am. And she's like, "Stop explaining me." And it was a lived thing. It wasn't something I was doing consciously. But when she said it, I knew that was what I was doing. I was walking around like she was a problem. that I had to compensate for or hide from people so that I could be more acceptable to them. So that was something that she said. And so that was a humbling moment for me. That was a very humbling moment for me, where it was an aha. So basically, there is nothing wrong with her. Anybody who lived through what she lived through is probably very similar to her. This is a human condition, not just a you condition. So stop explaining it as if she's weird or strange or a problem. So that was the first humbling moment for me. And I learned from that to listen to her. That there is wisdom even in the trauma. There is wisdom in it if I would just lean in instead of trying to figure her out. If I would just lean in and really listen. Listen to the triggered thoughts. Listen to those triggered moments. Listen to my body. Lean in and stay with it. And let that teach me. Let it illuminate me. The second thing that I have learned over this journey with my inner child is that it's not so much trying to get her healed, but I've noticed that I've become a better me by being a good friend, being someone that she can count on not to betray her. Because in my validation seeking, in my people pleasing, in my trying to comply and win over people in my life, not everybody, but some people in my life, I was abandoning her to appease them. And so she had learned I couldn't be trusted. I couldn't be trusted to represent her. I couldn't be trusted as a leader in my own life because I kept running away from her. Every time she showed up, I ran away from her. So she figured out she could not trust me. And that only made the triggers more intense because she's trying to get through to me, and I've taught her I can't be trusted. So I would take her into situations that were not good for her. I would take us into relationships that weren't good for her. And so she had learned that I couldn't be trusted, that I was a traitor. All it took was the right person. All it took was for me to be attracted to the right man. All it took was for me to want to be friends with a certain person. All it took was that, and I would leave her. And so part of my learning how to be with my inner child was proving to her that she could trust me. Proving to her, becoming credible to her. Letting her know, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to put us back into situations that cause you to feel pain, that cause you to feel ignored, not seen, that the wounds that you have in the past get split open and you're in pain again because of my taking us into situations that are only going to hurt us and leave us more wounded and more disaffected, right, in the process. So I had to become someone that she could trust. I had to learn to listen and to regard my own voice. I had to learn to place authenticity over validation. Authenticity over responsibility, over trying to make sure everybody else is okay at my expense. I had to learn that I was important too, to pay attention to myself, to give myself the necessary attention that I needed, to give it to myself first and be committed to that, even if it meant not getting external validation. And what I've learned in the leaning in and in the cultivating, practicing, becoming someone that my inner child can trust, it's not so much that I feel like it's healing her. I feel like what it's doing is calming her. It's making her feel safe. It's making her feel seen. It's making her feel like she matters. So instead of emotional temper tantrums, even in our 60s, we still have them. We might not be kicking and screaming and knocking everything over, but we are making decisions and reacting and paying forward some of the traumas that we experienced in our childhood and revisiting them on our children and in our relationships and with our husbands and significant others and in the workplace and all. We're bringing that unhealed inner child with us. And something that Bishop Jake said that I really love a lot. He said, he says there's room for all of the personalities at the table. What did he say? He said, no. He said, you can get in the car with me, but you can't drive. So my inner child can get in the car with me. My inner critic can get in the car with me. Perfectionism can get in the car with me. The ideologies, how I was socialized, my upbringing, it can get in the car with me. But only the authentic me has the credibility and the license to drive the vehicle called my life. And I found out with those personalities that once they realize, oh, this girl can drive, we can trust her to get us to the destination unscathed. Then I find that there's more quiet and peace and calm among us. But I had to first let those parts of me be seen by me. Instead of running away and deeming them as bad or something wrong with them, I had to lean in and listen to their unique perspectives, because their perspectives were valid given when those perspectives were formed. Iyanla Vanzant says, every wound needs a witness. My inner child, my wounded child, my inner child needed me to be the witness. And the authentic me to get busy, being able to give my inner child what she needed without letting her run things. I had to be the wise one. I had to be the seeing one, the one that can read between the lines. I had to be the one with depth and insight and eyesight. I had to be the adult in the room. And the more I learned to become authentically an adult in the room, I'm finding more peace, more contentment. I still get triggered, but it doesn't last as long. I still sometimes get offended, but the offense doesn't last as long. I'm beginning to be more true, more real, more compassionate, more accessible, more genuine. I don't feel like I'm carrying a heavy load. The load of what my mom and my dad believed, the load of what my young self told me in the absence of truth. Your young brain will try to make sense out of it. And what my young brain came up with was not true. They say that children are great observers but not great interpreters. And my young self was a great observer but wasn't a great interpreter, because a lot of times I find in talking with people and even in resolving things with myself, our young selves take responsibility for almost everything. We think almost everything is our fault. Mom and dad are arguing. It's my fault. I'm being neglected. It's my fault. I'm getting a whooping. It's my fault. I'm bad. I can't live up to the doctrines of my church. Oh, I'm bad. I must not love God enough. We take on so much of a burden that's not ours to carry. And so during my 60s, I've been noticing that I've been going through a load shedding, where I'm shedding those ideologies. I used to call them lids. It's called those limitations, those limiting beliefs. The I standing for ideologies, the D standing for disconnects, where things are not congruent, they're discongruent, not adding up. On the one hand, I want this, but on the other hand, it's this. You know, just the chaos that comes from the disconnect. The disconnect between the reality and ideal. And then the stories I told myself about stuff. The stories that said it was my fault. I'm bad. Those stories. I'm not pretty enough. I don't look like her. Those stories. So I call them lids. Lids, right? And I've called them that for years. But it's been in my 60s that I'm really beginning to really shed those lids so that I can make room for my inner truth, for my inner compass to point me to my due north. I also thought about healing versus wholeness. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to end it because I don't want to make it too long. But healing versus wholeness was something that came up for me. You know, a lot of people are trying to heal their inner child. For me, I am trying to bring wholeness, which is what I alluded to earlier. That sure, my inner critic, which is my daddy's voice, my perfectionist, which is my mama's voice, right? My moral compass, which came from my church, my church culture, my worthiness, which came from growing up as a dark-skinned, nappy-headed, if you will, black girl in America, you know, and the wounded child in all of those hits, those things that wounded me deep, cut deep, wounded me in a real and profound way, where trauma is around it. All those parts, all those voices and experiences that have shaped my personality, they can get in the car with me. You know, they can get around the table. If I call a board meeting, they can all take their places at the table. Even the angry, give them the middle finger part of me. They can all take a place at the table. But I have to lead the group. my authenticity, the adult me, the me that's being healed, that me has to always make the final decision. They can weigh in. They all have a place. But I take all of it into consideration like a good leader. A good leader listens to the people around its table. A good leader does that around his table, her table, and takes it into consideration, but knows what it takes to move all of us forward to a brighter, more healthy, and more fulfilling destination. And sometimes I have to make the tough decisions. But the more I make the tough decisions that are born out of my authenticity, the more I garner the support of the personalities around me instead of being in conflict with them. And so I would say, given that, it's more wholeness. Not trying to get rid of or fix any of those parts of me, but just bringing wholeness, where all the parts fit together and are working cooperatively toward a desired end. And that's what I feel. I don't feel like I've been successful in healing my inner child. I do feel like I'm becoming better equipped and bringing more success in making my inner child feel safe with me. And that for me is a win. And so I wanted to pass this along to you. If you're in your 60s and you are still dealing with some of the same things you were dealing with before, you might have grown it up a little bit and got a little psychobabble to explain it, but it's still an issue for you. I hope that this vlog episode will really speak to that and give you more of a context that I'm living out. I'm not perfect in it. In the beginning, it was a step forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 10 steps back, lick my wounds, have a pity party, get back up, try again. And that's what I've learned. It's a practice. It's part of my spiritual practice to be more authentic, to be more genuine, to be more honest, to be more real. That's part of my spiritual practice. And so, yes, I'm practicing it. And I wanted to just pass that along. So if this resonates with you, please do something for me. Like, share, subscribe. Put your thoughts in the comments. I promise you I'll read them and I will respond to them. Me, not somebody on my team. I'm a retired woman, so I don't have a team. So it's me. And I welcome your thoughts. I'd welcome how this resonated with you, or whether you have a different perspective that you'd like to share. Please feel free to do it. I welcome the dialogue, because somebody might watch this video and what I say might go over their heads, but something you put in the comments is going to be spot on, and it's going to help to liberate them and enlighten them in a way that maybe I couldn't. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.